All right. It's Sunday, October 6th, 2024. Sunday Zen, Zen, Zen. That was weird. I'm sorry. You never know what's going to come out in these things, right? But I felt like today's the day to go live. Let's talk about living. You know, they always talk about living the dream. Man, I'm living the dream, bro. Like I'm living some projection. I'm living some idea of what my life should be. What about living in the dream? Because as we kind of realize what reality is more and more, as things wake up, and all this is just a way of speaking, right? Don't take any of this literally, because we can't talk about that which can't be talked about because it's beyond concepts and words and all that. So we do our best. As we wake up to what reality is, we realize, oh, what we thought was solid, substantial, ongoing, the story of us is a kind of dream. It's a kind of an appearance that happens only now, eternally now, in this radiant, unspeakable truth. So that kind of word salad makes it really hard to live a human life. So what's it like to know that this is a dream and still live in it? Right? Like, what did Jesus say? I'm in the world, but not of the world. So this is not real in this sense, but that it's appearing, that it's showing up is not only real because it's happening, like you're experiencing it. It is this moment, but it's all that's happening. There's nothing outside of this. So we think we can bypass this. We think we can make this better. We think we can push and pull on this. We think it could be other than it is. And all of that is thought. All of that is another appearance in this, as this, perfectly this. So how do we live in the dream knowingly? Let's talk about that today. And honestly, do I know the answer to this? Does anyone? Can a human know the answer to this? Let's figure it out. I don't know. I don't know anything. Ashley's here. What is not Sunday Zen? What I'm currently doing, aka studying, although I'm enjoying the content, so oddly kind of it is. Well, so Ashley has just nailed the whole point of this whole video. Everything you're doing right now is all that's happening. It's all that exists in the entire universe. And you can look and investigate it and realize, oh, the I that I think is doing it is a construction. It's a process. In fact, you can see that the whole thing is a kind of empty appearance, empty of any substance, empty of any permanence. And yet, that it's appearing exactly as it is undeniable. You can't deny, no, this is appearing. It's here. I trust your senses. There they are, right? So how do we reconcile studying, which we want to separate as something miserable and unpleasant? I know Ashley doesn't do this, but like in general, right? We want to separate as something miserable and unpleasant and realization, truth, enlightenment, liberation, spirituality, God, whatever you want to call it. Well, here's the punchline. They are one and the same. There's no distinction at all. So once that is realized, everything kind of relaxes. We don't have to push and pull anymore, and we can fully live in the dream as the dream, but not be made of the dream, and see it knowingly as a play, a kind of dance. But that doesn't mean you don't take it sincerely. You don't truly throw your heart and soul into every moment, because where else can you be? You're here, this appearance. So let's go back to this idea of like, who's living this? Like, if this is a dream, who's dreaming? That's an interesting question, isn't it? So Evan Thompson wrote a book called, Waking, Dreaming, Being, something like that, a few years ago. And he kind of goes through the sort of philosophy and the neuroscience and the sort of spiritual take on the self. What is this self? And I think one way he described it was really quite beautiful and simple. Like the way the brain, the mind constructs reality is it has to differentiate between what's out there and what's in here. And the way it does that is it says, okay, there has to be a self that we're going to create that when it moves left to right, it knows like, okay, that's self-moving. Because if it didn't know that, the whole world shifts. And it can't tell it, is the world outside shifting or is the organism shifting? So it has to construct a kind of identity, a place, a point of view, so it can eliminate that movement and then see the world for what the world is doing. All of it is a process and a construction. And it's actually happening. So people say there's no self. That's like a stance. Some Buddhists will say there's just no self, period. But in experience, there absolutely is a construction of a self viewpoint. So to deny that there's a self is not what Nagarjuna would have called the middle way, meaning there's neither a self nor not a self, because at this moment, there appears to be a self. But if you actually look at that self, you realize it isn't a self apart from everything that's happening. It's fully dependent on the rest of the appearance. This self doesn't exist without the outside relative to form the construction. So all of this dance, all of this dream is a beautiful, woven, interdependent tapestry that cannot exist in isolation. It is the sum of its parts, and there are no parts. And yet we can find parts. It's this paradoxical contradiction that is the nature of the apparent world. So once we realize, oh, there actually isn't a little mini me running the show that's substantial and exists throughout time, all of it is kind of constructed. Well, then we can drop right back in this moment and fully live like authentically as us. And compassion arises naturally because all of it's connected. Like that worst enemy of yours is a dependent co-arising of you. Wouldn't exist without your reference, this space. And by the way, this idea that also there's no self, then why can we use the words I, me, mine, my experience? Because in experience, there is a sense that, okay, this, what's arising now is everything in the whole universe. And yet that person over there clearly has their own universe they're spinning up, and everything that's happening is everything that's happening there. So there are these paradoxical multiple points of view. Reality is like a complete magician. And by the way, it's a complete mystery. So if you want me to say, oh, why is that? There's no answer that a human can speak. And yet it can be known that, yeah, no, that's just how it is. And it's okay. It's perfect. It's all part of the dance of life that comes from an absolute indescribable potentiality that's beyond all conception and words. Anne says, today's jam, Your Life Is Now by Mellencamp. There it is. Where else could it be? When else is there? So to live in the dream, we have to fully allow that everything is exactly as it is, including that movement that we have to try to seemingly change something. That's part of this. That's part of the whole expression. And it can be an absolute authentic expression of what's happening right here, right now. The desire to change something, the desire to go vote for A or B, the desire to not go vote for A and B, the desire to realize, oh, politics is another construction of human society and I'm going to have none of it, or the realization that it's a construction and yet my part is to go and participate in it in whatever way, right? Hey, Sue, no drama at all is no fun, right? The fun definition has to be changed to whatever is happening. That's a good way to put it. Look, if we actually, there are people who undergo the kind of the journey of awakening, and they get stuck in certain places, certain fixations arise. And I mean, I speak this from personal experience, and I know I still have lots of fixations. The fun now is noticing when they arise and seeing what they are and seeing if they can be allowed fully and therefore kind of let go of. Seeing that they're fixations is often enough to unstick them. Now, when we say like, no drama is no fun. Like some people then will get fixated in everything is empty. There's no self. There's actually nothing happening at all. Like that is that can be a felt realization. Like this is empty, radiant, no thingness. It's only happening now. It's eternally this. And all of this is a ephemeral appearance. I can close my eyes now and know deeply there's no body here. There's just the dance of this wispy energy that is like the foam on the surface of an absolute mystery. That insubstantial, a complete phantom, a complete dream. That can be felt. So then the fixation that arises, and remember, these fixations don't arise from the standpoint of reality. They arise from the standpoint of the human view. So it's thought, it's belief. So the belief arises, everything's emptiness. I can just dissolve into emptiness and I can avoid and transcend this manifest story because it's too painful. It's usually because it's too painful. It's usually because we don't want to fucking feel those things that we have been spending our lives avoiding feeling. Whether it's early trauma, whether it's some fixation, whether it's, it's something as trivial as I have difficulties with relationships. Okay, why is that? Oh, there's just a feeling in the body when I'm disrespected, or there's a feeling in the body when someone triggers me in this way, and I just don't want to feel that. So you know what? Everything's emptiness. I can just sit here and meditate. I can go on retreat. I can do psychedelics. I can live in a cave. I can join a spiritual community. I can go online and annoy people by saying, why are you using the word I? There's no self. There's only this happening here, this body mind moving, and there's no moving and nothing's happening. It's like, okay, so who's saying that? Who's taking on the identity of the one who wants to disappear? What resistance is happening? Where are we fixating? It's obvious from outside, but from inside, it's not obvious. From inside, you feel like you're waking up to truth, everything should empty out, and that will be the end of suffering. And then the other fixation, of course, the most common fixation in the human condition is that this is all real. It's as serious as a heart attack. I am separate from everything else. This is a world of physical objects and mechanical connections, and I need to get mine. And then you get all the suffering that comes from feeling like a separate self, a self apart from everything. So what's the middle way? What was Nagarjuna and these guys talking about in ancient times, right? And again, I'm going to butcher this because I don't fucking know what they were talking about. I can just tell you what it means here, now. And it meant something different when I was younger. But what it seems to mean is what the Heart Sutra in Buddhism points at. There is no suffering, there is no end of suffering. The deep paradox of being is that it is truly empty of any substance, source, or anything. It's a deep mystery. It doesn't matter at all. In any true human sense, it does not matter. When you really feel that, you start laughing because it is the cosmic joke. You thought this was something and it's not. That's all true. You know what else is true? This fucking moment. Your coworker, the dinner you're going to have, the dinner you're going to have is a thought. That's real as a thought, meaning it's an appearance. The dinner or the lunch in front of your face right now, if you're eating, that's absolutely the entire universe. Perfectly this. And those truths are simultaneous. And they don't contradict each other because they contradict each other. So in reality holds all paradox because paradox is purely here. It's the human mind that has to break things into this or that, light and dark, good and evil. Reality is like, it's just a smile. So the middle way is knowing that you're free from the dualities and can accommodate the dualities. It's not going, oh, I'm right in between light and dark. I'm right in between good and evil. I'm taking some average. No. It is freedom from those. It has nothing to do with those. And also encompasses those entirely and perfectly and completely. And so finding the middle way is saying, yeah, there's a self right here. I'm experiencing it. And also there's absolutely no self apart from all that is. And those are both entirely true and also entirely untrue in the sense that you can't find them. You can't find either of those things. So again, because we're flapping our monkey holes, we have to use words. Maria says spiritual bypassing is denial of what is. It is. So spiritual bypass, for people who don't know what that terminology, it's a way of saying I'm going to bypass the human experience, whatever that is, whether it's suffering, whether it's my shadow, whether it's unconscious behavior, whether it's being a dickhole, whatever it is that you're doing. I'm going to bypass it by going right into this realization that everything is empty, and then making sure to tell everyone I'm fucking about it too. Like, it's all empty. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. You're not real. I'm not real. We don't need to argue over this bullshit because it's not real. But in reality, here we are. You don't exist without me and my projection of you, and likewise. So we're mutually interdependent in this appearance. So we also fully exist. That's why, the Buddhist term for this world is samsara, kind of the veil of tears, the suffering world, the manifest existence. And then there's nirvana, which is the absolute extinction, emptiness, the void, the potential from which all this happens. And the truth is almost mathematical. Samsara equals nirvana. They're not two. There's no distinction. There's no this and that. There's only. So living in the dream means knowing that, and not intellectually, because it can't be known intellectually, knowing it through direct experience, which comes through the whole, whether it's meditation, awakening, self-inquiry, psychedelics, trauma, grace, seeing it. And then coming back and going through all the unconscious stuff, going through all the energetics, going through all of it, and living this. Matter of fact, so simple, you overlook the perfection of it. Perfection meaning it's exactly as it is. This thumb is the most thummy thumb. There's no better example of this thumb than this. It's that perfect. You see how I'm using my monkey mouth to try to say something that is known not sayable. That's the best I can do. Let's see. Kurt says, do you know of methylene blue regarding secondary uses for mitochondrial repair and general health? No clue. Lisa P says, this is really being tested in me. Every day is the test, Lisa. And you don't have to pass or fail, because life is still gonna live itself as you. As what you're taking to be a Lisa apart from life itself. And so we feel like we are being tested. And when the feeling of even being tested drops, it's just life going, what, whoa. Like, just so ordinary, so ordinary. It's just a pair of reading glasses. That's enlightenment, this. And you hear people say that and you go, what the fuck? Until it's just clear. And sometimes for it to become clear, you just have to die to everything. And I can't tell you how to do that, because that's the journey. And it's not even a journey. That's the paradox again. The middle way is like, it's neither a journey nor not a journey. It's the Heart Sutra. It's easy E. Simple as that. LJ says, I'm just cutting onions and jalapenos for corn chowder and smiling at just watching the onion and pepper being chopped. Just onioning. The onion just onioning. Right now, everybody just imagine, just use your mind's eye. Close your eyes if you can, if you're safe to do that. And imagine a big old onion. And imagine a sharp, beautiful stainless steel knife slicing through the onion on a cutting board. And imagine the smell of the onion and the watering of your eyes. Maybe you can envision an onion. Maybe you're not so good at conjuring up visions, but you're having thoughts of, oh, onion is this thing. and it tastes this way. And you can even experience the taste, experience the smell of it, the textures in the hand, the skin of the onion, and that papery wafer-like skin that you can peel. And all of that you just experienced was as real as a fucking heart attack, because it was experienced in awareness, as awareness. Beautiful. You had that experience, right? But was there an onion there that was substantial, moving through space and time, that you could grab and touch and hold? No. All of reality is like that. It's all this play of light and texture and sound and color and flavor and smell and sense dancing in the body. And we call it the body, but it has no boundaries in experience when you close your eyes. There's no edge you can find that isn't a thought. So what a miracle. What a fucking miracle that then we could come back and tell a story and go, yeah, I was born on this date and I do this for a living and I have these kids and this spouse and I'm doing this show. Like, what? How did that spin up from the raw data? And that's the beauty of the sixth sense, which is reflective human consciousness, that it's like a house of mirrors. It spins up these images of identity, belief, story, a life. And some of that is intergenerational transmission, like the instinct in a bird to build a nest. It wasn't taught how to do that. It's really a fucking miracle. And we want to deny that. We want to go, no, I want to disappear. I want to dissolve. I want to go meditate in a cave, or I want to take drugs to numb it. I want to drink alcohol to not feel these things. How would the world, our apparent world, where all is interdependent, how would it show up if everybody just went, whoa, I'm going to feel everything just as it is, and I'm not going to shy away even when it feels really uncomfortable? Because I know deep down there's an indestructible truth, which is this is not at all what you think. And you are not apart from all of it. Vicky says, just had that onion experience this morning. There you go. Yeah, Dennis is salivating from that onion. There you go. There's a physiologic response, right? And even the salivating, we tell stories about it. We go, yeah, there are these salivary glands. There's a mental impulse that causes a secretion of saliva from these glands through nervous impulse. That's electrical, bioelectrical impulses that travel along myelinated nerve fibers. So that's all story. That's all concept. What's the experience? This indescribable isness in the mouth when the image of this thing we're calling onion shows up. Bob, I'm now 1 year and 5 months sober from alcohol. Congratulations, brother. What an accomplishment. And it's just now. You're only sober now. Now and now and now and now. So I think I can only speak for myself. In some sense, most humans are looking for true interconnection, and we're looking for true freedom. So how can interconnection and freedom be reconciled? They seem opposites. How can I be co-arising and codependent on the entire manifest universe? In fact, I only arise as a self in dependence of perception of an outside world, these sense experiences, apparent others, all of that. So I want this interconnection because it makes us feel, especially as humans, we're mammals, we're social creatures. We want to feel part of something bigger than us. That's the sense of awe, is like, whoa. You know, when you look at the night sky, somehow this is me. I don't know what it is. And the sense of just the separate self dissolves, and it's just, what the hell? So we want that, but we also want freedom. We also want to be able to be exactly what we are, how we are, without depending, relying, or being determined by anybody else. So how are those reconciled? Well, that freedom that some call liberation, that is the root nature of reality. It's free to be exactly what it is in this moment. And it's a total mystery why it is what it is. And we don't need to know. We can't know, and we don't need to know. And that itself gives us the freedom to allow everything. Allow this play to be the brilliant display that it is, which then gives us freedom to show up exactly as we are, because it can't be otherwise. And so that feels like true freedom, even though we know this is totally interdependent. And so when we know that, we behave in a way that's very naturally compassionate. We're not going to start wars. We're not going to fuck with people. We're not going to create unnecessary suffering. And when it does arise, we're going to look and try to make it right, because we know intuitively that it's interdependent. That karma is not only a bitch, karma is the interconnections between everything. So everything you do feeds into and is fed back onto by all that is. So the freedom is knowing that that's true, and knowing also it's fundamentally empty of any abiding nature. It is a play. Leela, the great dance that the Hindus talk about. So then what? You show the fuck up as you are. If you're off working in healthcare, you work in healthcare. If you're tired of healthcare, you go do something else. If you want to make a change, you make a change. If you want to meditate, you meditate. If you want to do yoga, you do yoga. If you want to sit on your ass and watch Netflix all day, that's what I've been doing lately. You do that. Knowingly, living in the dream, but knowing that you're not separate from any of it. And it's not what you think, not what you can think. What a relief. David Jeffers says, "Karma is coming for Z-Dog MD." I suspect he's one of these plandemic people. Dr. Dan says, "Luminous beings are we? Not this crude matter." Yoda really had it largely figured out. Although I'm still a little skeptical of the Force. It feels a bit manifesty to me, doesn't it? A little secret. It's like Jedi, it's the Jedi, the secret. Bob says, I'm now using my experience with alcohol abuse to help a 17-year-old that's struggling with it. I'm able to connect with my patients now. Isn't that beautiful, right? PA Bob? It's like life will just show you exactly what you need to live the most compassionate existence. It'll just show you. It's a miracle, really. Pippananda. Dennis says, looking for love in all the wrong places. It's already here looking. We're looking for love, but it's love that's looking through your eyes. It's fun, Dennis, to feel into the body when a truth like that is spoken. It's just like the body lights up. There's just currents of bliss energy that show up. And now I sound like a new age doofus. Sue says, what a relief, the full Zubin. Yeah, it is a relief. Don't have to pretend to be something you're not. Hey, there's Risa. Karma's a bitch. I should have known better. If I had a wish, I would have never fucked around. When I saw the pics of you with her, I felt the knife twist. Karma's a bitch. And she's with you right now. That's Jojo Siwa, for people who don't know and should never know, because it's terrible. It's also really catchy. My kids were listening to that shit and laughing at it a few months ago when it was all the rage. Kathy H says, I've been doing that too. Blink twice. Nobody wants this. It ends with us. And today, baby reindeer. Ooh, everybody's Netflix stuff. Penelope, baby reindeer. Um, yeah, whoa, Dennis. Beautiful. Pipananda. Um, Sometimes I just love like during lives. It's very selfish. Just dropping into the body and feeling what this is. You can do it. You can do it with me. Just close your eyes, drop into the body, and feel the presence of 72 people that aren't separate. They're all interdependent. Here's a trick. So funny. It's really funny. It is the cosmic joke. This is not what we think. The trick is don't think about other people. Don't think about other. Just feel. Just feel what's happening in the body right now. In this now, where we are. If thoughts arise, that's fine, but right back into the body. I won't say what I'm experiencing because you have your own experience right where you are. That's all the self that matters, is that perspective, that viewpoint where you are is nowhere else in the universe, and it's the entire universe. This that you're experiencing is everything that's happening anywhere. And yet we are all having that. Isn't that a fucking paradox? That's how unknowable and incredibly infinitely what, that's how infinitely what reality is. The root, the source. Yeah, George Shepard said it earlier. How many nows exist? One or infinite? So even the question, George, falls away, right? Because from the perspective of reality, even that question doesn't arise because it's just exactly as it is. How many nows do we need? How many individual perspectives are there? All of that falls away, and it's just like this. The questions drop. And even the dropping drops. Can anyone else feel my headache, Kathy? Sorry you're having a headache. This is going to become a very boring video. By the way, at this point, usually someone says, oh man, Z-Dog's on some drugs or something. No. This right now, right here, eternally is the peace that passes all understanding. Nothing is needed. Nothing needs to be different. It's just as it is. The drug of life, Sarah. Exactly. Peaceful silence, Bob. Ashley feels the energetics. Yeah. Don't be afraid of energetics. What do I mean by energetics? These sensations that arise in the body that feel almost like currents of excitement or electrical currents or jolts or smoother waves of almost bliss like energy, or a more contracted like, ooh, what is that? Those are the energetic currents of life that we often cover up with thought by having attention in thought all the time. So what happens when attention just is allowed to relax into whatever is showing up? That energy can be freed up. For me, it shows up throughout the body. And it's done this for the last 10 years in various forms. When it first started, I thought, oh, this is strange. I'm almost like, feels like something's wrong. Like the body's rejecting this whole meditation thing. But I realized what was happening is these currents of energy were being released, and I just didn't know what they were. I didn't have any container for it. And now when they come, they feel different. They're always different. They're always changing. Nothing is static. But they're welcomed fully as part of the expression of everything. I mean, and so then they take on a blissy component. I personally feel them much more when I close my eyes and I'm sitting with you guys. There's something about being witnessed as part of the interdependence that releases that energetic in me. And your experience may be completely different. But it's something I'd put out there because people don't recognize it. They sometimes are scared of it. They sometimes try to stop it or resist it in some way. And I think my own experience is when it's fully surrendered to, it's just one of the most beautiful experiences of subtle energy. Terry says, I had a sudden experience recently of my sense of self completely dissolving, and I've been feeling through tons of existential fear since then. The resistance seems to be softening, though. So Terry, like, you're in a place where those threads of identity start to dissolve and they're just seen through. It doesn't mean they may not show up, but they're seen for what they are. And that can be incredibly disorienting when there's still a view that's being taken as the human. Like, oh my God, I'm dying. Because in a sense, yeah, the process of ego, the process of creating a self is relaxing, and it feels exactly like death. So existential terror can actually show up in a way that it never did before. You'd be more scared of death. This happened to me recently. More scared of death than ever. And prior to that, I was like, oh, bring it on. There is no death. It's an illusion, you know? A little bit of spiritual bypass. And now it's like, and then it went through this thing where I was like, oh my God. Because it's like the egoic bits that are there, those bits of identity that are still clinging, they get really ramped up. This is ancient. This is an ancient protective mechanism of the human. Guard this core delusion at all costs, because it's how you function in the world, apparently. Not true. You can actually function like the title of this video, living in the dream, knowingly, knowing it is the dream, knowing that the self is an appearance, and yet still selfing when necessary. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Hi, Val. Good to see you. It's been a minute. Rick Pruden says, now dude is taking verses from the Bible and making them mean something they never meant in context. Dude got weird at some point. Is dude me? I guess dude is me. My kids refer to dude as bro now. All the kids, the Gen Z and Gen Alphas, it's all bro. Bro got weird. Bro is misquoting out of context the Bible. How do you know what the context of the Bible is? It's all constructed. Well, now people will say, no, it's not. It's absolute. That's another view. Mine's a view too. So what's in between the views? What's here right now that isn't a view? But accommodates all views. And it's not an it. Duet Martins says, Doc, unless one has experienced either combat or something similar, one is naive. Much respect. Boer from South Africa. I think that's a reasonable view. You could substitute, though, combat for, like you said, something similar, trauma. And then the question of naive is a good one. Naive relative to the experience of the trauma, relative to what the world can do in terms of suffering, sure. Naive to reality, nobody really is, because reality is what we are. It's right here. It's beyond all of that and also incorporates all of that, every trauma. Now, and I think your point too should be very well taken, which is those experiences are a kind of gift that point to a deeper truth, even though they're horrible and you wouldn't wish them on anyone. Because it's our suffering actually that drives us to look past the mistaken belief that we're separate, that we're an independently existing self apart from everything else. LJ says, yes, I'm so petrified to die. I want to know how the story of human beings ends. But yeah, I get it. What wants to know that though? Like, who wants to know that? So one little hack here, and this is a bit of bypass, but not really. You can feel fully the existential terror. Absolutely. But if it becomes too much meaning it's generating suffering because you're taking an identity as the one who's going to die, you could ask the question, who wants to know the answer to that question? Try to find that one that wants to know in your experience and keep looking. Discard anything that's an appearance, that's a thought, that isn't permanent in some way, because yourself should be permanent, right? So if you find something in your experience, it's like, oh no, this is what wants to know. Go, well, does that exist in deep sleep? Can I find that in my experience in a solid way? And then keep looking. Something interesting can happen. That isn't a something and it isn't a happening. AZ says, I feel the electric energy currents of bliss sometimes after a long, mild intensity cardio, as well as during meditation. I swear by them. Yeah, oh, absolutely. I get it during cardio. I get it during yoga. I get it during meditation. I get it sitting here with you. And it changes over time. I'm more sensitive to it now than I was. Crazy Trader says, I'm a little bit confused. Can you maybe explain what it is that you know and I don't know? Nothing. Crazy. I don't know anything you don't know. Not a thing. I don't know anything, in fact, for real. I know nothing for sure. I know nothing. No thought that I have is true. None, objectively. In the story, relatively, yeah, sure, but I know nothing that you don't know. You have everything right in front of you, right here, that's needed. And it's a knowing beyond the mind. I know nothing in the mind that can help any of us here, including me. So you can just be like, okay, I've got it. Crazy Trader has everything they need. They don't need me. They don't need knowledge. They just need to look right here, right now. One simple thing is look for what's looking in your experience. What is actually looking through your eyes? Try to find it. And just keep looking until oh, I can't tell you until. You can't talk about it. Dennis says, who wants to know? Yeah. And what knows that? Turtles all the way down. Yeah. Look. Keep looking. Crazy Trader says, it feels so scary. Oh, absolutely. It's the scariest thing a human can look for. Because it will take, the truth will take everything from you in terms of your beliefs of what you are, of what you could be, your hopes for the future, your dreams from the past. Gone, because all that is here now, eternally. It's very scary for the mind. So look for that mind that's scared. Look for what's looking. Is it even here beyond an appearance? All right. I think we, I don't know what we did, honestly. I don't plan this stuff. I love it though. I love it. Don't know about y'all. Yeah. So just enjoy it. Enjoy the day. Enjoy your life. Live it. Even the ups and the downs, all of it. It's exactly as it is. And it's all interdependent. It's all one big waveform vibrating together. We did a thing, Dennis. Anne, thanks for being here. Ashley, good luck with your studies. Lisa, good to see you. And until next Sunday Zen, we're out. Join our supporter tribe if you like. It's a good group of people interested in this. That's all we really care about. And smash that like button. Bye-bye, guys.